In this little lesson we're looking at the improvisation etude for London Waltz, which is from the American Popular Piano Prep. The first thing I do is get the student to clap a beat to the backing track. So if I play the backing track and I give a quick demonstration like this, even as simply as this. Would you like to join me to do that as well? And I'm doing, you see, in the air, a little bit of this in the air. I do that because sometimes young students can't actually do that. They find it a bit hard to keep a steady beat going. In the book it says that you can use quarter notes, and that would be, that's actually quite hard, and I quite like the idea that the students might actually try like one in a bar, like I've just done. But when they do go to quarter notes, I like them to do this. And again, if you join me as soon as you see what I'm doing. 1, 2, 3. And then, halfway through, we change it the other way around. Beg for. Lovely. Now that establishes that the student can keep a beat, and I think you need to do that. So don't just go straight into clapping. That's quite a sort of percussive thing to do. The next thing we do is the student has quite a simple rhythm to clap, which is they learn to read, and we're going to do that now. Would you like to try clapping the rhythm that's in the book here, letter B? 1, 2, 3. Very good. Now in the prep book I then have a melody which is using all the notes of the original tune, and the notes you're going to be using, would you like to just play these notes on the right hand page for me? Which is a bit like a minor pentatonic scale, but there's an additional B, so it's kind of a little bit of a minor scale, a little bit of a pentatonic scale. The student doesn't need to know that, by the way, and one thing I like to do quite often is to actually get the student to play one note. So instead of playing the whole melody, they just play one note, and usually the key note. London Waltz is complicated because the key note is actually A initially, and then it becomes C. But let's just try playing that same rhythm on just the note A, okay? 1, 2, 3, with your thumb. With your thumb. I think you can tell, it doesn't sound entirely right to finish on the A, but nonetheless, most of that sounds quite nice, doesn't it? Now, what I like to do then with the student, particularly if it's a minor key piece, is to perhaps use the first two notes of the minor pentatonic scale, which would be A and C. So now play the same rhythm, but use A or C, and it's your right hand, thumb and third finger, okay? And down there will be quite nice, I think. Let's try down there, because another thing which students often discover, my young student is doing this already, is that they like to not play the octave I've suggested, but play higher or lower. Not too much higher, not too much lower, but nonetheless it's in establishing the fact that you can transpose the notes as well. So here's A or C on the same rhythm. Let's add D as well. Lovely, and she finished on the C very nicely there as well, now that she's got it available to her. Now, you can actually use more notes again, so would you like to try using A, C, D and E, still in the 5-finger position. So you've got your thumb on the A. You might even try using the B if it occurs to you that it might be nice to use. So just see what happens now, and still stay with the same rhythm for a moment. Lovely. Now you can tell she's actually making little choices there. It's good. We're not using a G yet, we're not using an A yet, so really we're still staying in 5-finger position. Now it starts to get really exciting because the student, having played the rhythm which is in the book, are now free to start playing their own rhythms. They do quite often play their own rhythms anyway, and if they do that, I say, now you're starting to do what I want, which is where you're not just playing my rhythm, but you're trying a bit of your own. So my young student now is going to try and actually do a little melody of her own using only A, B, C, D and E, the 5 notes, but inventing your own rhythm slightly. You want to just try this out, see what comes out. 1, 2, 3. Now I'm just going to stop it there and say there's something very nice happened there, and that is you basically played a variation. You did the same rhythm twice, your own rhythm, but the second time you did slightly different notes. So that's a nice thing to do. One other thing I get students to do as well, which is a real good little test, is where you play the same idea twice. So whatever your first idea is, you actually play it again. Do you want to try that for me as well? So see if you can play me the opening melody, but play it twice. Nice save. Okay, good. So that there, she played the same melody 3 times altogether and then did a new ending and nearly lost her nerve on the ending, but actually recovered herself quite well. They ended up back on the C again. So now what you can do is go to the book, and the book here gives a melody which I've written using the 5 notes. In fact, the 5 notes, you might say, are the notes at home, and the 2 other notes are on holiday. So the G and the A, which you can see here, are actually beyond the 5-finger position. But in fact, now that you know the 5-finger position is basically there, you can think, oh, there's 2 other notes I can use as well. But of course, at the prep level, you're using 2 hands. So in a sense, you haven't got quite the same problems because your hands are already spanning pretty much. How many notes are they spanning? If you've got a 3rd finger on the A, you've got, you see what I mean? It's probably going up past an octave. Anyway, so here's now the melody which I wrote in the book. Second time around. What's fun about that is she went wrong at the end, but actually sounded rather good. In other words, you ended up playing an F, which we didn't really expect you to do. But now what we're going to do is we're going to go to the second page and play the first 4 measures as written, and the second 4 measures you'll do your own melody. Now in the book it actually has a melody with the rhythm of a melody already supplied. But what you can do now is actually play your own melody. Is that all right? Using all of these notes, so you're not just using the 5 notes, but you can actually use the G and the A if you want. Okay, so you're all clear on that? Here we go. So your own melody for the second 4 bars each time. Good. Now she's played her own melody for the second half, but in fact students who don't want to play their own melody for the second half in terms of the rhythm can always play the rhythm as written in the book. So there's various options you can have. The book is the easier option initially, but if the students start to do their own melodies, doing their own melody feels better, doesn't it? It's nice to do your own. And then the other thing you can do, everybody, is actually play your own melody all the way through. So finally, here is using all of the notes, but your own melody completely, with some repeats in it if you want. But it's basically letting the student just kind of weave some magic. Here we go. Lovely. Now, of course, you can do various other things like play eighth notes and create grace notes and so on. Because students playing the prep book tend to be at this kind of level where they haven't done eighth notes yet, I think in some ways it's quite good to restrict them just to the notes which they've learned. So you know, just think about that. But in fact, I'm inclined also to think that some students are going to do things more intricately than you are expecting. Don't stop them. But just say to them, you've got your own idea going there, let's hear it again, see if you can repeat it, and in other words, do the same procedures but with slightly more complex material. Thank you very much.